Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. This is the big debate. We are talking, has Cristiano Ronaldo ruined his legacy at Manchester United? I'm joined by Jay to say that he hasn't, and I'm joined by Webby from the Webby and O'Neill channel. You think Cristiano has ruined his legacy with this interview, don't you?
Yeah, I just think that it's just been coming to a boil from the start of the season when he missed pre-season training. I don't care how fit you are, but at 38, you can't miss that. Then other things, what we've heard and we've seen, obviously refusing to come on. The manager said he's refused to come on. Walking off the pitch, leaving the ground early. I just think time's up. And don't get me wrong, the last 2 seasons of his United career was the best I've seen. But the noises have been coming, not just this season, last season, which he got away with because he was scoring the goals and winning those matches. And I think don't get me wrong, great player for us, but I think he's tarnished his legacy, you know what I mean? And I put a tweet on last night, I've been absolutely slaughtered, but by people who have not seen great players at United, I wasn't lucky enough to see Bestie live, Lord or Charlton, but excited to see Brian Robson hold us together for 5 or 6 years. That is a legend of the club. Roy Keane, you know, we can go on, Giggs, Irwin, Schmeichel. I'm not going to go at Ronaldo. Thank you very much for what you've done for the club, but best in all part is, come January, you find the club always tear your contracts up and we move on.
Jay, then, you think that, I mean, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but you believe that in terms of his reputation, his legacy is for what he's done at Manchester United, that he can still come back from this, or do you just think that this doesn't affect it even in the first place?
I think it will affect it. Listen, I'm as annoyed as Webby was with that interview. I thought it was unnecessary. I didn't like what he said about Ten Hag in particular, and I don't buy in this idea that, it's great because he cut out the Glazers. He did some criticism of the facilities, which I agree with, but he shouldn't have gone after the manager the way he did, and I don't think it's true that the manager has disrespected him. I mean, he made him skip it not long ago.
Last weekend.
Yeah, last weekend. So let's get our facts straight on that front. I just feel that, especially for a certain generation, probably a little bit younger than me and Webby, if we're being honest, Ronaldo is like the GOAT. He's the one they all adore. He's the one they look up to. I take my kids to the game, and it's not United, it's Ronaldo. They're, I can't wait to see Ronaldo. Ronaldo scored. They were going mad. Well, I took my lad and he scored, I think, against Chelsea, and the other week against Sheriff. He was loving it. And I think what will happen is, when Ronaldo does leave, and I agree, I think he's done. I think he'll leave in January. There will be a lot of fans who are angry towards him, but I think further down the line, whether that's 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 10 years, whatever, people will look at him, especially this younger generation, as one of the United greats, because he won a Ballon d'Or at United, he won a Champions League at United, he won 3 titles in a row at United. His stature within the game as a whole is so great. He's one of arguably the greatest players people have ever seen. I think that's going to carry him through, and maybe that is wrong. Maybe he should be forever tarnished. I just don't think he will be.
So just looking at the sort of his legacy and how we will look back on Cristiano Ronaldo, I'm going to name a few names. I know none of them did the interview that Ronaldo's done. I know it's not quite the same situation, but certain players like Roy Keane, David Beckham, Ruud van Nistelrooy, all kind of left in terms where they'd fallen out with the manager or there'd been problems there. Wayne Rooney, someone that handed in a transfer request and still continued to play for Manchester United. But they all get looked back on fondly. People remember those players with good memories. Do you not think in a few years' time people will sort of put this to one side and remember the good old days rather than focusing on what he's done this week?
Yeah, you could be right, but I look at Ronaldo and I think his best football he played was at Real Madrid. Yeah. Not at Old Trafford, you know, his records, his goals speaks for himself, you know, frightening him out, was it something like 60, 70 odd hat-tricks, unreal. But I look at people like Brian Robson, who played in a bad team, who held us together, you know, for 5 or 6 seasons. I look at Keano, I look at all these players, you know, Van Nistelrooy, obviously, he made a mistake, you know, and Ruud van Nistelrooy was a great player for the club. If we had a Ruud van Nistelrooy now, I think we'd be second. I think we wouldn't be far behind Arsenal or Man City. I just think with Ronaldo, I just think that happens to us all. It's probably happened to me and Jay, where you get the ball at your feet one week and you mint. You go 2 or 3 weeks later, you've lost it.
Happened to me when I was 16.
You know, and you think to yourself, it's just a one-off that, and then a week later it happens again, and then you realise you've lost it. And no disrespect to him, I'm not going to... I've said my say now on social media. I remember the great times about it. I'm not going to slag him off, but so have a go at the manager. This is the first manager we've had since Ferguson who's had a pair of balls. I look at that, the manager's coming to a club which is toxic from top to bottom. You know, people say to me, well, he's had to go to the Glazers, fair play, but we all know as Reds how bad the training ground facilities without being in it, how bad the stadium is. You know, we sit in it every other week.
Yeah.
How bad the ground is and your seat in the ground and where you'd have your brew at half time. It's bad, you look at these clubs and it's no disrespect to Tottenham, but why should Tottenham Hotspur have a better stadium than Manchester United? They shouldn't have.
No.
Now, what do we do with the stadium? You've got to blame... I want these owners out, like 99.9% of the thing. And he has called them out, but he didn't need to interview that plant pot, who's an Arsenal fan, who... If he gets that far, he's going to end up out of Ronaldo's mouth. He's that far up his arse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it's an hard one. I look back at him and think, yeah, you've been a great player for us. I don't think you should have come back. People say you should never go back twice.
Yeah.
You look at things in history, you always remember, go back to Howard Kendall, the great Everton manager, and he went back and nearly got him relegated. I just look at Ronaldo and think that he's gone. It's come to us all now. For me, how much money does he want? He's got enough money to last 20 lifetimes. I think after the World Cup, he should just say, I've gone, hang my boots up and live his life with his family.
Surely some of those points there, like the way he's come out and the way he's spoken about the manager, and I know he said that maybe we'll look back on him fondly, but surely this does change how you see Cristiano Ronaldo. I know we all knew he had this sort of petulant side, and in 2009 he didn't come out quite the same way, but he talked about a dream of playing for Real Madrid. We knew he wanted to leave, and he ended up getting his wishes at the end of the 2009 season. But surely when you think back to Cristiano Ronaldo and you imagine him and his career at Manchester United, it is now somewhat tarnished by this. It can't have not been changed.
A little bit, but I feel like, and for me personally, it is. But I feel like for a lot of fans, it'll be, especially in a year or two, talking about a legacy here. We're not talking about right now. If we're talking about how has the reaction been, I think you've seen it on social media. Yeah. The vast majority of fans are like, shouldn't have done it. Like you saying, make a great point, especially with that plant pot. Yeah. Why have you done this? You didn't need to do it. Go and have a word with a manager in the club and say, look, I want out. Get me out of this. That would have been a better way to do it. So I understand that. I just feel that, when we look back over the years at Ronaldo, people will remember the good times. People will look back and go, this is, a player that won these trophies, that won the Ballon d'Or, that gave us all these moments. And I think that'll override this. And maybe it shouldn't. Maybe people should be a bit more like, do you know what? He has wrecked it, but I don't think they will. And I think some of it that might go in his favour as well is people might look at, and I think Webby's made the point there, people might even look at it and go, the club, what were they expecting here? Why were they a bit naive when he bought Ronaldo back? Because the club have done this before. It's like when you bought, Paul Pogba came back. Yeah. And we had this narrative. He's returned to his boyhood club. He's returned home. No, he hadn't. He left United to go to Juve for a reason. He wasn't that bothered about staying at United, he would have stayed.
It wasn't like Paul Pogba had been at United since he was 6.
No, he'd been at Le Havre. Le Havre kicked off when we got him. Yeah. They felt we'd poached him. Yeah. But then you build this narrative, he's returned home, his boyhood club. We're not Ronaldo's boyhood club. He wouldn't have left us for Madrid if we were. Yeah. And you get all this nonsense that isn't true. A little bit of naivety, giving him that massive 2-year deal when he's, like Webby said, he's turned 37 and I think he's 38 in February. Mm-hmm. What did you expect? You know what I mean? Where did you think this was going to go? And I think that the club have to take some responsibility. Ronaldo is wrong to give this interview. I am not saying he should have given this interview. I'm not justifying it. And I think, yes, call out the facilities and all that stuff, but that doesn't justify this interview as a whole. I just feel people will still look back at Cristiano Ronaldo, the vast majority of fans anyway, especially that younger generation, and go, he's a United legend. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not sure, but I think they will.
There's another person as well that I think should be brought up. Jose Mourinho is someone that, looking back at a few of his quotes at the time, was absolutely slated for. When he said, finishing second with United is one of the best jobs I've done in my career. That was the most difficult thing I've done in my career. He talked about certain players, like Martial was one of them. There was a point last season where people were looking back on his quotes about Rashford and Fred and these sorts of players and saying, I saw it on social media all the time, Jose was right, #Jose was right, looking at some quotes that at the time got him a lot of stick. Let's say, and I hope this doesn't happen, and I don't think it will, but if in 18 months United have sacked Erik Ten Hag and there's still the problems with the training ground, and do you think there's even a chance that people could look back on this and say Ronaldo was right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, definitely. We like I say again, I've got a friend who works at Leicester, and he sent me these pictures of the training ground. Yeah. Leicester City have got a better training ground than Manchester United because they've had proper investment. No. And you spot on what you're saying. We hope Ten Hag's here for 10 years. Yeah. When he builds a great team and builds another great team, what Ferguson did. But people are just going to back Ronaldo because all they can see, if they're old enough, is his last 2 years at United, his full career at Real Madrid and Juventus, and last season. What he's done this season, they're just tinting over it. They're just going over it. oh, he's all right. Look what he did last year. He got us 3 points. He got an hat-trick against Spurs. He got an hat-trick here. He'll be all right next week. But I just think that now, as a football club, we're bigger and better than this, and we've got to prove it. If he comes back into the dressing room, he's won. In my eyes, he's won.
What is the next step then? Do you think United have to sack him, sell him, get him out in January? Can he play for United again?
I think we hope Portugal win the World Cup. He has an extended holiday to January. Then someone comes in and buys him. You know, because I don't want this. To be honest, the easiest thing United could do, I don't know if they made a statement yet about it, is rip up his contract. Because if we did that at work or in here, you're gone, you're sacked.
Yeah.
But there'll be legal teams around it. You know, all I want is him just to wish him the best, shake his hand, let him move on. But I just think now, after the World Cup, he should say, whether they win it, runners up, they get knocked out of the group stage. He's had an unbelievable career from that kid at Lisbon who we played that friendly against and was turning people inside out. You know, and we developed him into the player he was. You know, Madrid reaped the benefits of that.
Yeah.
You know, and us as well. Just shake his hands and wish him all the best, and let's not have this fallout, because I always remember I was devastated when Van Nistelrooy went, and now him and the manager have made up and they're mates, and he's doing a great managing job over in Holland, and they're all friends. That's what it should be. Don't want it to end like this, Joe. You know, it'd be an honourable thing. Ronaldo, who's probably been the greatest player I've seen live, leaving the club this way.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any way back from him? I know obviously he's only got 8 months left on his contract anyway, so it's not going to be a long-term thing. But can he play for United again? Can this be salvaged with Ten Hag, or is this, you know, the end now and he'll never play again?
I think it's the end. I'd be very surprised if I saw him in a Manchester United shirt again. Seriously, I think that, you know, a lot of what he said, he probably could have got away with. I think it's that manager thing for me.
You can't say I don't have respect for them.
I don't respect the manager. That is literally...
He's a boss.
Yeah.
He's a boss.
You can't go back into that changing room now after you've said that about the manager. Sit in a team talk when the manager's telling everyone what to do and you're sat there and everyone thinking he don't respect you. It doesn't work. It really doesn't. That's his way of getting out of his contract or getting out of the club. And it's the wrong way to go about it. I don't want to come on here and pretend that I'm defending or justifying what Cristiano Ronaldo has done. I'm not. I just think longer term, he'll still be fondly remembered by a lot of fans. Yeah. But I think in terms of now, his United career is done.
Yeah. How can you... I know it's Jay, you spot on what you said there, but like you're saying, if he's coming on... There was a game where we had a water break or something, and the manager was talking to him, and he was looking away.
Oh, it's the was it the Real Vallecano game?
Yeah, looking away.
And he was like, you could see there was a lot of anger there.
Yeah,
I know people go, you can't tell from too much. You could see he was annoyed.
So if we've got a crucial match to finish fourth at the end of May, and he's trying to give him tactics, and he messes it up, people say, well, has he done that on purpose because he doesn't like the manager? The manager asked to take over the full club, which the previous two didn't. He wanted the full control. Now he's gone in there, and for me, he's done a great job up to now. Brought the likes of Rashford back in, who was... People were talking, is his United career over with because he was doing nothing? It's been Sancho because his attitude's not right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, you got to back the manager. You got to back him 100%. If it means losing Cristiano Ronaldo, a 38-year-old, then so be it. But if you don't want to be there, then we wish him all the best and we all move on.
You make a great point there, because you look at Garnacho, who's reportedly had a bit of an issue with his attitude and stuff, late for meetings. Ten Hag's handled that in the right way. Now with this, what sort of an example is that to someone like Garnacho?
Jay, we should have been coming on here today to speak about the match. We've not even spoke about the great victory.
This should have been a Garnacho video, really.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
He's overshadowed the match.
Of course he has.
The excellent goal at the end to get us 3 vital points before the World Cup. Now, everywhere you look today on TV, they're showing you like 30-second clips of the match.
Yeah.
And it's Ronaldo, this and Ronaldo, because he's that big and we know how big he is. And just the way it's fortunate that we're not speaking about the young kid who, for me, has softened the blow of Greenwood.
Yeah.
Could soften the blow of Ronaldo, get his head right, which he looks like he's doing, and we've got a right star there, got a right star for the future.
I think that's a great way to end the video. Focus on Alejandro Garnacho. Thank you, Webby, for coming on.
Problem.
Make sure you check out the Webby and O'Neill channel. The link to that is in the description. Thank you, Jay, for coming on as well. Make sure you hit subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've got all the Manchester United news. We'll also be looking at the World Cup, following every single Manchester United player through the next few weeks. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you in a bit.